Greetings, dear suckers. My name's Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. And welcome back to Our Darker Purpose. I want you to know that I 100% blame this game for my long absence. It occurred so shortly after I started this whole little playthrough / lore read-through. And I 100% believe that Our Darker Purpose would somehow be able to curse me like that. And it happened right in the middle of all of this. I was building up a whole bunch of shit, the whole narrative and all that I only half remember, so... But we're back. I am going to finish this, even if it kills me. Because you deserve to know. Well, no, you don't. Fuck you. But I'm still gonna do it. Anyway, last time we played through Chapter 3, kinda, sorta. It was kinda weird, because nothing can be sane or sensible in this game. So... Fortunately, we're not going right back into battle, but rather into more lore. The actually, interesting part of this game. Starting with a dissolving school. A girl named Cordy awoke under a broken bookcase, confused and scared, having barely survived Goneril and Regan's attack in Mr. L's classroom. It was strange, because she didn't remember any bookcases in Mr. L's classroom. The air in the school felt different than before. Cold drafts streamed through the room, as if new cracks had been opened in the walls. She saw a scrap of yellowed paper swoop by, so quick that it was gone even before she had a chance to focus on it. Then, only for an instant, she saw paper everywhere. She recalled a voice, erudite and menacing, that had seemed to speak to her while she was asleep. "You have no right," it said. "You're not even you. You're just a reflection of another. You're not even you." On the administrators. This ought to be good. Messages from the administrators can arrive in a variety of ways. Sometimes they wait in envelopes for students when they sit down to meals, or drop down into the classrooms via glass tubes. Pneumatic tubes, or just ones or are they just going straight down? Or crackle directly through the ancient speakers inside the walls of the dorms. Inside the walls? What? Why inside the walls? To prevent the students from getting at them, maybe? And if they're in the walls, how do we even know they're actually speakers? Occasionally, students will see groundskeepers carrying brass palanquins with closed curtains up and down the stairs of the manor. Whether or not the administrators travel within, and what they might look like, are the subjects of constant debate amongst the students. All agree that they live on the restricted floor at the very top of the manor, assuming they live. The Gifted. On occasion, before the teachers disappeared, a student would arise who seemed powerful or charismatic or intelligent enough to become a rival to Regan or Goneril. Does something tickle you about that phrasing? It should. Where is the third who walks always beside you? Generally, Generally, these students would suffer from accidents bizarre even by Edgewood standards, often involving the forever crevice in the floor of the southwest cellars. Many, however, simply disappeared. Just gonna casually move on from the forever crevice, alright. This led to speculation that the administrators were creating some kind of program for particularly exceptional children, a loosely knit community of malicious inventors and their hulking machines. The administrators deny this, and insist that all of Edgewood's students are exceptional in at least some meaning of the word. Nonetheless, it is difficult to ignore the dust that occasionally falls from the shaking ceilings, or the clanking noises emanating from the upper floors. Your caring friends. Strange entities appear to have slithered in through enchanted chalkboards and squelched into being on the library shelves. No one knows where they came from, or what they want from the school, but they now control the highest floors of Edgewood. Students refuse to speak of them directly, and only refer obliquely to the caring friends. Instead of saying, "I think Jeremy got grabbed and presumably incinerated by a many-handed creature made from ink," students will say, "Jeremy is spending time with his caring friends." The administrators, generally quite protective of Edgewood's metaphysical integrity, seem unconcerned by the presence of the caring friends. Some speculate that the loss of the teachers deprived the administrators of their primary means of controlling the students, and that the caring friends were invited in as a sort of replacement. The Virtuoso. As the Edgewood home for lost children is constantly under renovation, groundskeeping teams on construction projects frequently discover forgotten rooms. On several occasions, they have broken through a collapsed wall to see the music hall, a cavernous space that houses a hulking pipe organ. Each time, the hole is hastily resealed with boards and bags of sand. No one knows what would happen if the organ were to begin to play before the gap was closed. It is likely that the instrument is harmless, and rumors of a malignant spirit player unfounded. Several students note that the music hall has been reopened in wildly different sections of the house, evidence that Edgewood runs contrary to certain principles of architecture and reality. Or evidence of many music halls, I suppose. But frankly, it's Edgewood. The former is more likely. The Terrace Escape. Cordy stood over Regan, victorious, and waited to see if the Capulets would appear as the wound-warts had. Instead, an adult figure in a fancy suit emerged from the doorway. His face shifted like smoke, and he spoke with a refined voice that seemed to carry from deep within the house. How impressive, he said. You truly are the greatest student in Edgewood. Without knowing why, Cordy ran. She didn't see the false administrator vanish back into Regan's ruler, and she didn't see the thing that leapt up from the ground next to the fallen Capulet leader. As she climbed the ivy that lined the far wall, however, she felt a fireball explode on the rock next to her. She threw herself over the top and tore across the soft dirt of the terrace. Cordy ran for what felt like hours. Whatever was behind her moved the way that she did. whatever was behind her moved the way that she did. She could hear it rolling around statues and sprinting between lines of bramble. More fireballs streaked over her head, and when she finally managed to lose it in a room full of spitting moonflowers, she no longer had any idea where she was. Did she ever? Ah yes, good old Better Cordy. I wonder if we'll wind up encountering that one in the next chapter. Possibly. I still don't have the achievement linked to that boss because it's bloody impossible to get chapter 4 boss achievements because just finding them is so impossible with how far into the game you have to get and the fact that there's only one before the final boss. Irritating. Oh well. I'm entirely at peace with the fact that I probably never acquire the last couple of achievements in this game. Simply because they would be so mind-numbingly time-consuming, which wouldn't be so bad in a game that is actually, fun to play. But never mind. The Winged Observer. The Winged Overseer. Winged? Whatever. Long talon marks are sometimes visible in the dirt on the terraces, as if a huge bird of some sort had swooped down and snatched something up from the gardens. Shrill hunting cries echoed down from above the clouds. For this reason, students are particularly wary of early evening recreational periods. More nonsense and rumors, the administrators say, and we are increasingly disappointed by your cowardice. Now, a moment of respectful silence for the 6 students that disappeared during outside time this week. Classic administrators. Ah yes, the hawk, I would imagine. Such as it is. Doesn't actually have white feathers, though. Oh well. A leafy oversight. Edgewood's groundskeepers are responsible for controlling the flora on the terraces and guaranteeing that recreational areas remain accessible. Nonetheless, a scheduling mishap due to preparations for last year's fall frolic resulted in one garden disappearing from the maintenance rotation. Oh, I thought for a second it was just gonna say disappearing. Wouldn't surprise me. This same garden, however, remained in the planning documents for the spring melt festivities. The first students through the gates were those leading the Moonlight Lantern Parade. The administrators later commented that, while the tears of tragedy always sting, we can at least take comfort in the fact that these children were celebrating a season for flowers. Ah yes, this old boss, the one where they decided, fuck it, let's just make it a straight up DPS race. Boy, you think he's bad in regular mode. Hard mode is just utterly retarded. With this guy more so than most. Just absolute cancer. On the plus side, the thing that you unlock for getting his achievement of the Thorn Clover is quite possibly the best item in the entire game. Straight up double coins at the cost of taking a tiny amount of damage per coin pickup. Yeah, I'd take that deal. Anyone take that deal. It's a good fucking deal. The brick pile. Students punished with portions of yesterday's stew will sometimes smuggle their bowls out to the terrace, where they can discreetly pour them out onto an old brick pile. The terrace ivy has taken to the stew, and the brick pile is covered in overlapping vines. The administrators say that the loud cracks coming from the terrace are leftover fireworks from the summer merriment, but many students believe that the bricks and ivy are assembling themselves into something terrible. It's Edgewood, of course it's something terrible. The enormous rectangular footprints that appear in the dirt each morning lend support to this latter theory. The Malady Ward. Students who become ill during classes can visit the Malady Ward. Here, a team of doctors supposedly works day and night, caring for the residents of the manor. No student in memory has been admitted for treatment. A cobweb sign reading, "Apologies, we are currently full," hangs on the door. Piles of burlap dummies fill the waiting room. The administrators rarely acknowledge complaints about the Malady Ward. Our students should be grateful for their good health, they say, and in any event, the current patients are almost ready to rejoin the Edgewood community. Oh yeah, speaking of DPS races, this asshole. No, wait, I'm thinking of the guy after him. Never mind. Reward. Emptiness. Yeah, that's my reward for playing this game in general. Emptiness is actually a pretty good lesson. It's just hilariously overcosted to the point of uselessness. It makes your chalk instantly kill all regular enemies in the room. Sounds good, except that it's 4 periods. When chalk is already something you're mostly gonna be saving for the bosses anyway, because it's so hard to come by. Like, you're mostly gonna be saving it in general, even through the bosses. Yeah, never worth using. I'd struggle to fit it in if it was 1 period, much less 4. Discover the reactive mysteries of chalk dust and anti-dust. Unclear to what extent this is a study in science or magic. Anti-dust, so like antimatter? Alumni, of course, may want to consider how to erase when the eraser destroys everything in the room. Yeah, Dr. Bloodfather. This cunt. Dr. Bloodfather was originally responsible for teaching several of Edgewood's chemistry seminars. After a series of mysterious and self-destructive experiments, however, he scarcely resembled a teacher at all. The administrators turned a deaf ear to early complaints about his underlit classroom, obsession with blood, and ominous name. The missing student lab assistants were harder to ignore, however, as was the way that his left hand had detached itself from his arm. Oh right, that's intentional and not just poorly drawn art. Although, wait, missing students are hard to ignore for the administrators? In Edgewood? That hardly seems plausible. The administrators, weighing the evidence, promoted him to Dean of the Sciences. Ah, yes, that adds up. Some find it disconcerting that Dr. Bloodfather didn't disappear with the rest of the faculty. Admittedly, his classes generally end less than a month into the semester. Once the last student has gone mysteriously absent. Indeed. Defeat Dr. Bloodfather with less than 13 health remaining. What a fucking weird achievement, eh? Reward, Hand of the Bloodfather. That one's an interesting one. Probably the most powerful item in the game that will invariably get you killed and you should never ever use. It empowers your attacks to deal twice as much damage. Great, huh? It also costs 1 life every attack you make. Oh, technically, it might cost you nothing, or even heal you, because every attack that it hits heals you for 1 health. Which I think is pretty interesting way to do things, because you could, like, you know, with normally it'll mean that you need to, you know, be really careful to hit all your shots so that you don't lose health, and that once you get multiple missiles per attack, then surely you'd be able to heal, right? Wrong. You've forgotten one very important thing. You're not hitting shit in this game. Remember, hit registration is awful in this. And even if it wasn't, the controls are awful too. And the funny thing is, you'd think it's awful because it's gonna get you killed by running out of health because you're losing all your health to the missiles. That's not even why it's awful, though. That's not why it's gonna get you killed. It's gonna get you killed. It's gonna get you killed by reducing your damage output. Seriously, that's how it kills you. Not because you're spraying everywhere and losing all your health, although I guess you could do that. But because you're being careful with your shots. You're trying to only fire when you can guarantee a hit or something like it. And what's gonna happen is, you're gonna miss anyway, and also you're going to be firing way less shots, and only hitting a slightly higher percentage of those shots. So not only are you not actually going to double your damage output, you're going to reduce it. Because you're going to be firing like 10 times fewer shots, and only like 20% more are gonna hit. So that's like slightly less than a quarter the DPS in the end. It's such a bad item. It's so terrible. Maybe one of the worst in the game. The best part of this item is that it's one of those items that goes into your active item slot, despite not actually being activatable. So if you accidentally grab it, you can get rid of it later, if you can find another active item. That's the best part of this item. So shit. Anyway. A blow to the head. The administrator melted into the floor, and a moment later, whirling papers filled the room. Cordy leapt and rolled, trying to dodge the pages that threatened to envelop her. Or envelope her. "What have you done with the teachers?" she asked, shouting to make herself heard over the rustling. The administrator's answer seemed to come from the building itself. "The teachers? You dare ask what we have done with the teachers?" Now books were detaching themselves from the wall. A heavy volume caught Cordy in the shoulder, almost knocking her down. "We have no idea what happened to them," the voice said. "Something destroyed them and ruined us all. They are similar to us, and with the same responsibility. One task that they accomplish through kindness, and we accomplish through fear, which is to..." Cordy didn't hear what the administrator was going to say, because something huge was bouncing towards her. It was a bookcase, catching the wind, spinning as it came. The last thing she thought before the corner struck her was that it looked familiar. Which is funny, because she didn't remember any bookcases in Mr. L's classroom. They accomplish through kindness and we accomplish through fear. Which is... what? The case of the rising lunch tray. "Return now," the chief's telegram read. "Lieutenant told me cleaners found you trapped in Bandit's freezer." The telegram officer was tucking his office key in the breast pocket of his suit. Please, Shuddering Jim said. "I need to send a reply. I'm a detective, and I must write back to my chief. I'll send it myself if I have to." "You will not. You are a foreign detective with a foreign chief, which means you have no authority here. This office closed 5 minutes ago, and I have a train to catch." The telegram officer picked up his briefcase and almost knocked Jim over as he brushed past. "Come back after the weekend and you can send whatever you want." Jim stared as the man disappeared into the fog, then turned back towards the door. The air was clear across the valley, where the lights twinkled in the bandit's ski chalet. He glanced down at the office key in his palm, and considered his options. Indeed, if you, just in case you've forgotten, one of the few people who could take a wallet from the outside breast pocket on an overcoat. Book 47 in the Shuddering Gym series, P231, Edgewood Library, number 8293413. Is that... No, looks like a different number. I wonder if these numbers mean anything. Case of the Rising Lunch Tray, which doesn't seem to correspond to anything I can recall. You know, the Case of the Burlap Patients and... No, the Case of the Burlap Patients. Yeah. Duh. And also walking clothing, by the looks of it. Look, see? There's no actual body there. And floating crab. Don't recognize that one either. Well, not here anyway. The Case of the Burlap Patients. We had a lot of scary students, the retired teacher said. William the Windswept, for instance, was a terror. The best friends, 3 girls, the others called them that, were even worse. The best friends. Any relation to the caring friends, perhaps? Any relation to the fact that there are 3 and 2 here? What I can tell you is that the bandit was one of the weaker children. Perpetually anxious, cried a lot, always a victim. He probably fooled you, Shuddering Jim said, looking around the man's cluttered apartment. He's very cunning. The teacher shrugged. Hard to fake getting your shirt sleeves pinned to the wooden rim of a chalkboard with kitchen knives. Well, maybe. Especially when I walk in to find the best friends casually tossing lit matches at you. Punish the prisoners, the ones who threw fire. Chalk hands, chalk girls. Jim stared him down. Whatever sympathy you may feel for this criminal, you told us you could help us find him. Behind him, on the roof across the street, 4 of the bandits' henchmen took aim. Book 52 in the Shuddering Jim series, P75. Edgewood Library, number 8293413. The Case of the Walking Clothing. End of the day, I just don't ask questions, the fat henchman said, once he was done putting on the rabbit costume. He looked at the other 2 waiting in the back of the truck. He says, jump off that airship, I go put on a parachute. He says, build me one of those electric shock antennas, I go find some cables. No one's arguing, the thin henchman said. Fat and thin. I wonder if he's tall, too. Not me. I roped all these horses when he wanted to all those horses when he wanted to find that hidden golden city. I'm just saying he's weird. Yeah, I don't want to know, the fat one said. He looked at the third henchman, the one with the thick mustache. That's, yeah, fake mustache, classic. What about you, buddy? What do you think of the boss? You don't say much, huh? Shuddering Jim looked back at him, trying to sound bored. I keep a low profile, he said. Book 54 in the Shuddering Jim series, P311, Edgewood Library, number 9123183. The Case of the Floating Crab. Floating crab, huh? What could that be referring to? What? Why me? The magician asked. Why do you think he'd target me? I only bought the sculpture yesterday. And anyway, you've seen the house, and we're the only ones here. He spread his hands again, and 3 cards appeared on the table. Shuddering Jim and the chief rolled their eyes at each other. An insect buzzed somewhere overhead. Please, please, you are my guest, the magician said. Allow me to show you one more trick. It's called the 3 prisoners. Prisoner. He gestured to each card in turn. The strong one, the pretty one, and the quiet one. The lamps on the wall flickered. Beware the third. She's always the ringleader. He reached to flip the first card, but before he had touched it, a strange thump arose from the far corner of the room. Turning around, Jim saw that the drawing room behind them was still empty, except for a pair of houseflies. They seemed to be moving in perfect unison in the air. A mirror, he said. The henchmen are using a giant mirror! He ended the magician's trick prematurely by throwing the table, shattering the reflective glass. Book 58 in the Shuddering Gem series, P299. Edgewood Library 813178. Oh wow. Well done, Jim. I believe that's the first time in any of these excerpts that you've actually spotted the trick before it could go off. In time to do something about it, certainly. Clever, clever. Actually, come to think of it, you've been putting up a pretty good showing this whole chapter. That's interesting. So, isn't that an interesting development? The quiet one is the ringleader of the best friends, or prisoners. Why are they called prisoners? I can hazard a few guesses. So that is the third that always walked beside them. But why now is the ringleader cut loose? Almost erased, even. And the strong one and the pretty one have themselves attempted to be her jailers. And yet, at the same time, she keeps coming back. Over and over and over. She awakens. The tale is revised. The moment is rewritten. Amidst a dissolving school. Over and over, returning as a memory or a reflection. And this coincides with her discovering how to speak. What does it mean? What does this all mean? And why is the one place she isn't erased from the books? The supposedly fictional detective book series that she herself reads in the library. That seems to be about a detective seeking to defeat a bandit who was raised in this very orphanage, was seized by a hawk in this very orphanage, after receiving a feather which has now become his emblem. A bandit who was apparently quite severely bullied by that very trio of best friends. What the fuck does this all mean? I don't know. But at least we'll be sure. Are you starting to get a picture of this, dear viewer? A picture of why I bothered to begin this series in the first place? Why I've returned despite everything? Oh yes. But there are still wonders yet to come. In Chapter 4. And one last sea of horrors to face in the actual gameplay. Before then. Before I finally show you the last pieces of the puzzle, or at least the last pieces that I have. God, I wish this game was actually good. I really do. I also wish I knew how the hell I even found it in the first place. Maybe I didn't. But until next time, I have been Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. And remember, dislike the video, unsubscribe if you're for some reason subscribed, and leave a nasty comment in the comment section down below. Fuck you all so much for watching, and so long, suckers.